Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video. And in this video, I want to basically go over how to build yourself a crypto portfolio. In other words, how to get started with crypto, just the simple basics about it. If you're a veteran, you can probably still watch this video because I'm still going to be giving you guys my tips as someone who's been in the crypto space for 10 years and has been in the capital management or venture capital investing for the last couple of years. I think I know my fair share about how to responsibly allocate money. However, that being said, I'm going to give my thoughts on how to do this. That in no way, shape, or form means that this is a smart thing to do, as I am not your financial advisor. I'm just sharing my thoughts about it. This is not financial advice. This is my thoughts on how to do this. Just wanted to make that really clear. So please take this video as something to use as a basis to then build on your own on. Just a quick little disclaimer to be sure. Anyway, for anybody that does not know, if you want to get started with crypto or you've been around for a little while, one of the best places to just check every now and then or see is either CoinMarketCap or any website basically that has a list of all the cryptocurrencies on there, because otherwise, how do we know which ones we can buy even, right? This is CoinMarketCap, but you have many of these lists. You have Live CoinWatch, CoinGecko, or even on some exchanges, they have entire list of different cryptocurrencies, but we're just using CoinMarketCap for now. Very simple. Once you're on this website, you'll see so many buttons, but the most important thing to see is there's a number right here. This just showcases how big the cryptocurrency is relatively, Bitcoin being the biggest, and there's 100 different cryptos per page, and there's 89 pages of them here. In total, there are over 22,000 different cryptocurrencies though, but I generally only invest in like top 200 or so for the most of my money, and only in better market times, like the ones that might be coming up right now, just bullish markets. I allocate a percentage to the more risky assets, which we're going to get to in just a second. Just quickly, for anybody that does not know, if you want to get started and you want to buy crypto, you have no idea where, just quickly placing a couple different places that I personally use. There's a link for Bybit. It's an exchange that I personally use. There's a place here for BitGet, an exchange that I personally use, and there's a link to Bitrue and Binance. Just check them all out if you're new and see which interface you like the most. All four of these are extremely popular, and these two are more for just buying crypto and holding it, and the other two have way more bonuses that you can get for free, but they're more for trading crypto, like BitGet and Bybit. There's two more links down below that I recommend you guys to check out. NordVPN right there as well. Internet security is very important, and Ledger, this is where you store your crypto on basically. It's to be your own bank, a little self-custody device to store your crypto on so you don't have to keep it on an exchange. Anyway, let's start talking about it. So if I were to make a portfolio, it kind of depends on how much money I'd have. I'd say there's a couple different styles to go about it as well. Just want to make one more disclaimer that I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just sharing my thoughts on this, but please do your own research, do your own due diligence, and don't use this video as financial advice. Just see it for entertainment purposes. Anyway, so if I had a portfolio for, let's say, $1,000 or maybe even $100, I'd make a completely different portfolio than if I were to have $100,000 or $1 million, and a very significant portfolio as well, like we do with the funds that we have, where you're more looking towards like hundreds of millions of dollars. Basically, it's a very different allocation. We're mostly going to focus today on two different categories: the $100 to $1,000 and like the $10,000 to $100,000 category. Because I think the $100,000 category can kind of be extrapolated to $1 million, maybe $2 million. So let's first talk about the $1,000 and then talk about the 10 to 100,000. That again also works for $1 million. All right, so if you have less than $1,000 that you want to get slurpy with in the crypto markets, I'd probably go for a mixture of these. Hear me out. So in the crypto space, you have, and this is actually still applicable to anybody, a lot of different categories of cryptocurrencies. You have payment-related cryptocurrencies. An example is XRP. You have platform-related cryptocurrencies. These are cryptocurrencies like Ethereum that have an ecosystem built on top of it. You have scaling solutions, which potentially are built on top of platformers, like we have, for example, with Polygon. It's one to name a few. You have file, like sort of like utility type of cryptocurrencies that are, they're all, I guess, they're niche on their own. You have, for example, Filecoin for file sharing and file storage. You have Chainlink for Oracle providing. This has to do with getting real world data onto the blockchain, basically. You have Theta for like this sort of streaming. And then you have like another subcategory, which is, for example, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, more of these meme tokens. You then have the metaverse category of just metaverse or gaming related cryptocurrencies. You have exchange token related cryptocurrencies, which are just tokens that are mostly held and mostly utilized by exchanges. And then I guess you have hybrids, which could be a mix of all these. For example, Shiba Inu is a meme token, but also nowadays more of a metaverse gaming type of crypto. And then you have BNB, which is a exchange type of token, but also a platformer a lot. Then I guess what I should also mention is, again, you have decentralized exchange tokens, which are the token that's mostly used within a decentralized exchange ecosystem, like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, BuySwap. And man, the more I look through this list, the more different sort of cryptos you have as well. Like, for example, fundamental layers. It's kind of harder to explain, but this is more for interoperability, a layer lower, like, for example, Quant. Supply chain related cryptocurrencies that fix a problem in that nature, like VeChain. Completely useless cryptos like this one. Yeah, you have a lot of DeFi related cryptocurrencies as well, like FracShares or CurveDAO. So as you can understand from what I just said, there's a healthy amount of different categories. You can kind of see it here for yourself as well in this top little bar. You have, for example, BNB Chain having like a whole list of different apps and cryptos that are built on top of BNB Chain. Or the same thing goes for cryptos and whatnot that are built on the platform that is called Polkadot, or metaverse related cryptos, NFT related cryptos, DeFi related cryptos, or you have a complete, just a list that are made by people, by the way, of different sort of cryptos that they've basketed up. Again, keep in mind that these are not official lists. These are lists that people have curated / made, and so they can surely be faulty, but you can kind of get an idea as to how many different categories are out there. Roll-up related cryptocurrencies or tourism related cryptocurrencies. Not sure what's in that list, by the way. I couldn't name one. Launchpad related cryptocurrencies, yeah. I guess you even have AI related cryptocurrencies. You have just cryptocurrencies for basically anything. If I were to make a healthy portfolio, I'd probably try to get myself 20 coins. It might sound strange to you, but I personally think if I were to start with, let's say, $1,000 or so, I'd still have to kind of wager for myself, okay, do I want to go the really extremely safe route, or do I want to go the riskier route? The safe route being I get exposure towards crypto, in my head thinking over the next 5 years, my portfolio could double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, and I could end up with a very nice bit of pocket change that for some people is completely life-changing. On the opposite end, I'm thinking, well, some people are like, I have this $1,000 in my hand. It's burning in my hand. I want to spend it on crypto. It either makes me a good amount of money or goes to zero, but I want to try it out. For both of those, you have to make a little bit of a different portfolio, but I'd still, regardless of that, spend it on at least 10 different cryptocurrencies for the perspective of there are, like I just said, so many different sectors. I think it's better to put your foot into a lot of different sectors a little bit than one fully. Meaning, for example, I don't personally think it's too smart to only have DeFi related cryptocurrencies, because what if the DeFi space doesn't do that well this season? We've seen every crypto bull season has different sort of winners, where you had a little DeFi ramp, a little NFT ramp, for example. Maybe the next bull run is really bad on DeFi, and you're going to just be there for an entire season, not making that much money, not doing that well, potentially even going down. For that reason, I'd never go only in DeFi. You can kind of have that same little philosophy for almost every single category. So I mix them up. I'd, for example, go always have Bitcoin in there because it's like the number one crypto, so it's most solid to hold. It will not make you the richest, but it's like it will just kind of indicate where the market is going to go. So I'd always have it in there. I'd always have Ethereum in there, and I personally would always have XRP in there. But that is, again, my own thoughts. In the US, it's not as simple with XRP, situation for a different day, because they're in a very important lawsuit, but I personally think for the use case that they have, it's a must-have. We've gotten ourselves 3 different categories, so as of this point, we're good. Now I have to think, okay, there are so many platformers. We have BNB, we have Cardano, we have Solana, we have basically Polkadot, we have Tron, even though Polkadot is slightly different than as a platformer. How many platformers really do I want to have? From my own perspective, I'm thinking, well, every one of these platformers has the probability, or has a good chance to be the next big thing. I mean, any of these can do basically what Ethereum does, potentially better. So it's not that bad of an idea to just kind of spread my money over a couple different platformers, because you're not sure, AVEX here, which is going to get the most amount of traction in the next big season. So it's not that stupid to kind of spread it out a little bit And the reason I'm making this video is because I've made portfolios for my close relatives and people around me. And very often I just noticed they have no idea what to go for which crypto. So I'm just giving some rough ideas and my philosophies behind it. If you want to do something completely different, all power to you. All I ask is that you give me some feedback in the comments down below about what you think about it. So hopefully you can help somebody else with your thoughts and your insights. Anyway, again, I personally think a couple of platforms in there is not too stupid because you just don't know which ones are going to pop off. So we're already now on, let's say, about 5 cryptos, maybe even already 6. Looking through this list, one thing even though I hold some of and I'm pretty excited about, that I don't really go for is things like Monero, because it's privacy related and it's niche, but the niche is not necessarily something I associate with getting me more money or so, or doing extremely well in profit. Monero has its use cases and I think it will always stay around, but there are many risks associated with it. And I can say the same thing about some other coins in this list. There's just some risks that I don't necessarily like, or they're a derivative of another crypto that's very popular where I just prefer the original version. For example, I don't really hold Bitcoin Cash. I don't really hold Ethereum Classic. If I had to make a choice between Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, I just choose Bitcoin. If I had to choose between Ethereum Classic or even almost any other crypto, I choose almost any other crypto over Ethereum Classic. And that's a wager I kind of make a lot as well. For example, Stellar XLM, I hold a lot of, but right now for this period, if I had to make a choice, would I rather hold this or that? I'd say, nah, this. In this case here, my way off is always XRP because they're very similar. Would I rather hold some XLM and XRP or just XRP? And I'm like, kind of just XRP because I think the risk to reward is better. But to kind of go on, a very new coin that's doing extremely well, Aptos, is a riskier crypto because it's newer onto the market, but very heavily backed and, well, pretty undervalued from how far down it's from its all-time high. Filecoin, again, solves a very unique problem. You can always click the crypto on CoinMarketCap and read more about what they do, but for that specific use case, I think it's very nice. Algorand, Hedera, QuantVecha in this entire list. Yes, it's platformers, yes, it's fundamentals, and yes, it's supply chain. All a little bit different, but all of them are, in my opinion, something I quickly buy for anybody that asks me, because I just wouldn't know what to replace them with. Any one of these, I just don't know. They all serve, even Filecoin. This is not on my must buy list, Filecoin. These 4 are. I wouldn't know what to replace them for. Like if you, for example, gave me Quant, okay, let's say you don't want Quant, which one should you buy that's like solving a similar sort of problem? I wouldn't know which one. So I just have to include all 4 of these for sure. Filecoin has a similar sort of problem where I don't know how to replace it, but the only question is how much is the profit potential in Filecoin? So if I had to put a percentage on it, I'd have a lot less of my portfolio allocated to Filecoin. If, let's say I wanted to do 20 different cryptos with 5% each, I'd potentially just do one crypto with 7.5% and the Filecoin only 2.5 or something like that percent, purely because I want to be allocated to it, but I'm not sure this is going to make me the most amount of money. I just want to be involved in their ecosystem. Here again, if I had to, and I want to, allocate myself to this metaverse section, I'd probably get some, depending on how, as I said before, liquid you are, some metaverse or gaming type of cryptos. I think Shiba Inu is pretty nice for whatever's coming up now. They have a lot of announcements. People really are a lot more excited than might meet the eye, but also probably some Mana and Sand. The percentage, again, shifts depending on what type of market we're in. The more bullish the market, the higher the percentage of metaverse and, in that same nature, riskier cryptos will be. Because metaverse and gaming, they don't do well in really negative markets. But I mean, should I hold more Mana or more Sand? I mean, it's always kind of equal, and I just allocate a percentage of my portfolio to like metaverse, gaming type of cryptos, and then I just kind of mix and match as I go. So again, let's just say I've allocated 10% to metaverse and gaming type of cryptos, and I just kind of see however much of which coin I get to fill out that 10%. Another one I think is very nice is XDC. It's in the 101st position. And again, you have to understand, the lower in the rankings that it is, so 101 means it has a lower market cap right now, the market capitalization, which is the amount of coins that there are times the current price. The thing is, the lower that it is, the more potential also to gain percentage-wise. That does not mean that there's a higher probability that XDC is gonna get more market cap basically than Bitcoin. No, almost any day of the week, Bitcoin will get more market cap. Obviously, this one is only like 350 million market cap. Bitcoin is, I don't know, like 400 billion or so. It's percentage-wise. Like this one can still gain 1,000 times before it's as big as Bitcoin. There's a lot more money to be gained still with coins that are lower in the ranking. But Vice versa, there's more risk involved, as these are less set in stone. And so these, again, the percentage changes a lot depending on the season. So is it a really bearish market? You allocate less of your money, in my own opinion, to these riskier projects. And the better the market is looking, the more we allocate ourselves to crazier projects. So let me just reiterate what I said earlier. I basically think like 5% into every crypto is like my baseline always. But then sometimes I mix and match where if I, for example, wanted to have Mana and Sand and Shiba, because there's a little bit of overlap with what they do, and maybe even Dogecoin because it's a really bullish market and I want to kind of risk a little bit more. Well, maybe because there's some overlap, I don't want to go for a full 10% of like the meme type of section, metaverse and gaming, like a 10% in total. I just kind of mix and match and go maybe 3% in one, 1% in one, 1% in one, and then the rest of the percentage in the other. It doesn't necessarily have to always be the same amount. It can just kind of play around with it. And I should quickly also make sure you guys understand, I'm not the best at giving tutorials on how to build portfolios because I've been in this space for so long that I just, whenever they give me a phone, I just buy, let's say 20 different cryptocurrencies that I can think of, and we'll just kind of see how it goes for a little bit. If they want to put more money in, we just start talking about what we should add to the portfolio after I bought the basis of cryptos that I just told you about. I just kind of always buy those relatively. And then mostly for the second purchase, we start to think a little bit more about where should we add, where should we take off. Most of the time though, I don't recommend taking off. Just keep it there and add to different cryptos that you like more after you've studied them more because, well, step number one should be understanding what the different cryptos do. Step number two, in my own opinion, should be writing down different categories that there are, have a good mental understanding of all the different sorts there are. Step number three is knowing for yourself which areas you'd like to be involved with or be invested into, which ones you like, which ones you don't. Then potentially percentage-wise, you kind of make up how much you want to be involved with every single area. And that's where the big difference comes in with lower investment budgets and higher investment budgets. Again, if I look back at when I got to $1 million, basically, the majority of my portfolio was ridiculously risky. Would I do that again though? Absolutely not. The lower my portfolio, as I said, you have two options. The one that I just showed you is my, like, what I do for almost everybody. These cryptos that I just showed you, this is what I buy for most people. The one that I might have not shown is Chainlink. I think I said at the start, I didn't show it just now, but Chainlink is always in there too. For the riskier, I just buy all those cryptos that I just said, which is like adding up to $1,000 or so. And then a second purchase comes, let's say it's $500. We start just buying like coins that have potential to go up in value a lot. So it's going to be like depending on the season and on the time. It's not going to be coins out of the top 100. It's going to be coins outside of it that are good in that specific season. So the last big bull run, that was all like metaverse and even coins like Shiba Inu at the time, because those were pretty new. And even coins like SafeMoon and Luna, don't want to talk about that too much, but basically a lot of those coins were very undervalued, very cheap still, but in a good position to go viral, go crazy. And I just go for like value. No, I should say volume really. So that means I'd rather buy 15 different cryptocurrencies, smaller amounts than 5 bigger amounts because you just don't know what you're going to pop off. But ideally, we'd have the budget to go for 30, 40, maybe even 100 different cryptos because as a VC, our philosophy is this: invest in as many projects as possible. Many will fail, but some will succeed, and that will completely get you out of the gutter. It will make your money that you've lost 50, 100 times over. Again, to relate back, this is where the bigger budgets have a way bigger advantage. If I had a bigger budget, I'd still spend probably about, let's say we have $100,000. I'd still spend $50,000 on all the cryptos that I just mentioned. And then I'd spend $50,000 on risk. Crazy risk, I know, but some people can really afford to lose it. But again, there are two different sort of people. So I have some of the friends that I know, they put, let's say $100,000 to crypto. They don't want to risk it. They just want to have it. I'd buy like 40% Bitcoin. 30% Ethereum maybe, and then the rest 30% is over the altcoins that I just mentioned. That's just because that's like the safest thing I can think of. That's like the most, I am allocated to crypto, but I'm kind of like chill with it. That's how I think about it. This is a little bit of a rant session, by the way, because I'm not pressing the pause button too many times. But then to add on to it, let's say we have a riskier individual, I'd probably go 50% in all the cryptos that I just mentioned and a $50,000 like stack to go for risk assets. Because that could mean then that I have $500 100 times over. I don't think we need 100 times. I think we only need 50. So that would mean I have $1,000 50 times. I personally think if I get the ability to invest $1,000 50 times and we do not make more than $50,000 back, I have to just go out and do something else. Because it's, in my own history here for the last 10 years, never happened. It's happened before that I've had like, I don't know, I think like more than 10 losses in a row. Meaning I invest a couple $1,000, lost. Loss does not mean zero, it just means it did not do very well. What I mean with very well is that my money goes from $3,000 to $50,000, $3,000 to $150,000. Those are the crypto doing well. I think one of my friends had a track record of losing, I think like out of the 106 projects. I think he failed 80 of them. But you got to understand, in one project, you put $100,000, and that could be $7-8 million. For some people in the last bull market, it's actually gotten from, let's say, $100,000 to just tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars. It just depends on how lucky you get and how well you have the connections. Because the best way to make money in crypto is by knowing people and being able to buy into cryptos early. And in my own opinion, by taking a lot of risk, but that's all different to different people. So just to get back to it, where do you find these riskier cryptos? Depending on the season. You just look around for different tips and things like this. I usually just kind of watch around in my communities, my YouTuber groups, and just kind of see what everybody's talking about. For example, most of us knew Aptos was going to blow up before it blew up. It was, however, nearly impossible to buy. Too bad. So what you then got to do is try to find all your little stretches, all your connections to try buy in anyway. As a VC, this is simpler. Sui, similarly. Everybody was talking about Sui way before it launched. I see that. Okay, I'm trying to find ways to buy in earlier. Sometimes it's not possible, but then okay, they were backed up by Coinbase Ventures, for example, another project. They were backed up by this, backed up by that. Good chance of getting listings on all these platforms. I'm going to buy in. Potentially, if I had, again, the $50,000 stack, I'd also go for some Launchpad tokens in times like this, where times are just really, really bad. It's starting to pick up, but okay. Because in a bull market, Launchpads are my favorite place to be at. Because Launchpads have made me so ridiculously much money. How, you might ask? Well, you have the Launchpad tokens, and because you have those, they allow you to buy into a sale, a pre-sale of sorts. And the moment that you buy into the pre-sale and it launches, sometimes it goes really crazy. It's just like I said, this is in essence the way I think people go from being a quote-unquote brokey to having crazy amounts of richness. Not necessarily talking about wealth, I'm talking about just rich. Because if you go from $100,000 to 5 million, you're rich, not necessarily wealthy, because if you play stupid games, you can lose it all the next day. And then you're back to scratch zero, I guess. But to kind of summarize everything we've said, I'd say it's a good mix of balance, where you always want to be safe for the 3, 5, 10-year plan. And I'd say always keep a part of your portfolio allocated to it. I'd say personally, never put more than 50% of your portfolio towards really risky assets, preferably even less, but it depends on how much money you have. Because if you're going to go for the risky approach I just mentioned, understand you can fail many times. You can literally fail many times, and you should never listen to what's like looking good on Twitter with all the comments and whatnot, because that's all fake. There's really a lot of research that needs to be done before you can find these gems. And so you're going to probably fail a lot, but if you have a $50,000 stack, doing it with just $100 or so every time, you'll learn a lot pretty quickly. You'll learn to identify what is real, what is fake, something about engagement and whatnot. And throughout that journey, you'll also learn a lot more about what to look for in your next different crypto so you don't buy the same garbage twice. And through that process, you're starting to really become a crypto pro by just literally investing in so many garbage things. It might sound counterintuitive, but by being involved with garbage, you understand what the goal is, right? Because you've seen so much garbage around and you know what to identify as garbage. One thing I should quickly say as well, a lot of these things you buy via like decentralized wallets like MetaMask, because not all these things you can buy via traditional exchanges. Just want to quickly give you guys one little golden tip. If you're building portfolios, again, my personal recommendation, do a couple things. One, if you have enough money for it, buy yourself a hardware wallet. Link is down below, but I'd say just take a look for yourself if spending $50 on safety is worth it. If you only have $200 worth of crypto, I don't think it's worth it. Personal suggestion. If you have $100,000 worth of crypto, I think it's very much worth it, because what is $50 if you lose everything because of a hacker? Second is, don't use crypto too much on your phone unless you don't have any other option to. I prefer staying away from the phone as much as possible, but sometimes it's just not possible, I know. But try to stay away from it. Personal suggestion for safety reasons. Third, if you have money on MetaMask, obviously keep the keys and whatnot safe, but also try to have a couple different accounts and try to connect only new accounts or accounts with small money on there to new things you're testing out. And after a couple of days, okay, maybe you can kind of shift over. But the point being, you making all these connections with your MetaMask, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll learn soon enough as you get more and more into crypto. It's just a habit I've learned over time to not connect your main wallet to all these new websites that you're trying out. Always test it out with a crappier wallet first, because they might have some bad code and they might try to steal your money. And like our dad, CZ, the CEO of Binance, says, in bull markets, in my own opinion, every market, adopt risk management. Don't FOMO, don't go completely crazy mode thinking you're going to miss out on everything and just buy your way in like crazy. Don't put all your investments into one single coin. Not financial advice. I agree with that. And most important of all, in my own opinion again, is to just try to not buy everything in one day. The lower your amount of money that you have is, the more it's applicable to just maybe buy it once. But you got to think about it. It's a percentage game. It's not about a complete money game. And so if you buy Bitcoin at 14,000 or 21,000, relatively, it's not going to make that much of a difference over a couple years' time. No, it's not. But in almost all scenarios, it would have been better to spread your buys out slightly over multiple day period, multiple week period. Even though Bitcoin's price might have gone up a little bit in that time frame, you don't really know. And so what I always do if I'm buying for new people, again, it always comes back to that, is I buy a good chunk day one, just to make sure they're exposed to the asset class. And if we get a crazy pumps the next week or so, they're not completely screwed with me not buying anything. But most of the time, let's say that would be 600 of their $1,000, maybe let's say even 700. And then the 300 is a little task for them to just go through the motion of buying these cryptos every single day or every 4 days or so, whatever we pick, to understand how they buy it themselves. And then I also teach them about how to stake the coins if they want to. You can decide for yourself. You can also make choices on how to build your portfolio depending on what return you'd like to get on them in terms of staking. But again, that's stories for a different day. It's more advanced, I'd say. So summary number 15 or something. Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Cardano, Polygon is always in my portfolios that I make. Chainlink is always in. Stellar is not always in nowadays, before it was. Algorand, Quant, Hedera, VeChain, either Decentraland or Mana or both. In smaller amounts, however. eGold I mostly add, not always. Theta, again, depends, not always. Terra Classic I would never add, not in the worst day of my life. I've sometimes added IOTA. I've sometimes added eGold, not sure if I already said that. And I try to include XDC, but it depends on what exchange they're using because it's not purchasable everywhere. So that also sometimes depends. But that's my, like, off the top of my head list of cryptos that I always try to buy for people when I get started. And of course, things vary depending on what they like and what type of niches they like to be involved with. But I usually tell them, hey, play around with having this as a basis and then adding based per category, like we said before, by trying to allocate all these different categories first with a small, like one coin, for example, and then kind of branching out by saying, okay, I have one of the platformers, I have one of the meme coins, one of the payment type of coins, one of this, that. I want to get a couple more platformers in case. I want to get a couple more of this niche in case. I want to cut a couple more niche. So not put all your eggs into one category, have it spread out, but then potentially focus in more on one or two, yada, yada. You understand? That was it for my little update. I should have made this a live stream, but yeah. Make sure you press the like button if you enjoyed my little thought video. I know it's a little rant, might be a little stupid, but whatever. Hopefully somebody will find this useful.